Money, all they want is money.
Oh, Cats 2019. I really wanted to like all parts of this film. Alas, I was horribly mistaken. And everyone thought that the 2004 Phantom of the Opera film did badly. Oh no. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Musical Phantom 204, and I just so happen to love musicals, especially Andrew Lloyd Webber musicals. Let's get started. Cats was basically my gateway drug into the musical theater world. As a young child, I can remember the iconic commercials I saw on videotape, and I used to remember getting so excited about seeing those commercials. And my parents relented, decided to buy the 2 video cassette set they offered back in the late 90s, and they bought it for me and my sisters. And let me tell you, the 1998 version of this stage show was absolutely incredible. It starred the glorious Elaine Paige, Sir John Mills, Ken Page, and the incomparable Tim Curry-esque John Partridge. As a 5-year-old kid, I sang, I cried, and I sang, danced through all the musical acts. Me and my sisters probably sustained a few injuries from trying to do some of these musical numbers. It just grew my love of musical theater from there. When I first heard the news of the Cats film, I was extremely nervous. I kept asking myself, why in God's green earth would they try to recreate something that's already been perfectly made? And, the reason is it's because of money. Andrew Lloyd Webber has stated in the past, because people have been asking, why hasn't it been a fully animated movie? And Andrew Lloyd Webber had to say this.
When I went to see Valerie Elliott, T.S. Eliot's widow, to ask whether or not I could have the rights to make a musical out of Cats, one of the things she said is, I don't want them turned into pussycats. And I said, well, that's not what we had in mind. She said, well, the thing is that Tom, that's T.S. Eliot, turned down Disney, because he didn't want them to be pussycats or turned into cartoon cats.
What made me more nervous about this film, I would have to say that the casting choices and some of the production design choices made me very nervous. For example, just to list off one of the few, the choreography of the show is extremely iconic. The original choreographer was Gillian Lynn. She did the stage direction, and she did all the choreography for the original show and for the 1998 film version. During the filming, she was still alive, but she passed away from a form of cancer. I can't recall if it was breast cancer or not, and they ended up choosing the choreographer from Hamilton, which I'm all fine for, but I would have liked to see nuances from Julian Lynch's choreography. But when you have such an eclectic musical where there's not only just some urban elements, we have jazz and ballet, I was extremely nervous about this. And of course, Tom Hooper and his casting team were like, oh look, A-listers that don't have anything on their schedule. Let's cast them. Let's bring in some money. I would say the biggest sin of this film would have to be the CGI garbage that they thought that they could raise their budget up to $100 million. Well, let's jump into this alley cat garbage can. So basically, we scope down to the streets of London, and basically, all throughout London, I see all these signs that are cat related, and I'm thinking, are there no humans in this world? And there's a big sign for the bad guy who's named McCavity. It's just, I'm trying to take in the realism of this film, and it's not quite working. Anyway, so we get past that, and we see this car pulling up towards the end of the overture, and this human has a bag, and you could tell there's a cat inside, it's scrounging in there, and it looks small, but when it drops to the ground, it looks absolutely massive, and then you're like, wait a minute. There's this cat that just basically struggles to get through the bag. The cats are crowding around it. They're kind of hissing at it. They're trying to figure out what's going on. And Victoria comes out. She sees all these cats, and she's already kind of confused what's going on. And Jellicle Songs for Jellicle Cats begins, which is the opening song. Basically, it's telling the audience, do you share these qualities that we share? And it's set at a different pace, and it does take a minute to kind of get used to it because of the overall, it's kind of like an a cappella vibe that I'm getting from it. It's interesting too, because they take Victoria, who was previously a character in the stage show that's already established as a member of the Jellicle Cat tribe. You know, she's young, she's naive, she's a good dancer, and you really kind of see her explore her sexuality through the show as like she gets more mature, she gets in heat basically. I don't know why they explicitly chose Victoria. She already has like a solo. The cats kind of like crowd around her, and some of them are walking like upright like humans, and then some of them are crawling around, and there's no concise like movements of whether or not, you know, they're supposed to act certain ways. And it's kind of weird because it's like a lot of these actors have gone to, you know, cat school as they call it. Even Taylor Swift, she said that it was only supposed to be like a 3-day course thing for some of the actors. She went for 3 months. For the first song, the singing was really good, actually. I thought everyone sounded on note. Then after the song ends, we see this mysterious figure all of a sudden come up to Victoria. And anyone that's in musical theater knows that's McCavity. And he's kind of creepy. Like, he comes up to her and he's like, hey, you want to come along with me? It's Idris Elba. And he's a very good-looking actor. But it's kind of creepy, and I guess it kind of works. They go to this house, and it's the Gumby Cat's house. Gumby Cat, or her name is Jenny Dodds, actually. She's portrayed by Rebel Wilson. Personally, the Gumby Cat song was one of the worst segments in this film. There are multiple reasons as to why this was really bad. Rebel Wilson, she's known as a great comedic actress. For this role, Jenny Dodds, when she was on stage, like, you know, like in the original show, she is lazy, yes, and she likes to lay around a lot, yes. But, you know, there's a sense of refinement to her, like she's, you know, kind of eloquent, and she, you know, she's a little bit older as a character. Like she takes after the roaches and the mice and the beetles and tries to, you know, basically, you know, keep them, you know, well educated in the arts and have manners and stuff. 2019 Cats just makes her like scratch her inner thighs. She's flat. You know, the worser thing than this scene, in this scene, it's not even Rebel Wilson that's done anything wrong. Like, yes, she's flat and everything when she's singing. How they animated the mice and the roaches and the beetles. They have human faces. Why human faces? The world will never know why. The mice are human children, and, you know, the roaches barely have any of the animated faces. And here's the scarier part of this whole ordeal. Basically, the roaches are getting eaten up by some of the cats. So as they're performing and singing the song of the Gumby Cat, you know, you're seeing people die, and it's like, towards the end, like right at the climax of the song, you know, in the stage show, Gumby Cat, she has like this big overcoat, and it's kind of like plush and stuff like that. You know, she's supposed to take it off and have this fringe-looking outfit, and then she tap dances, right? No, Rebel Wilson literally unzips her fur, literally unzips it, you know, down, and she reveals like this weird vest short combo thing, kind of like Columbia from Rocky Horror Picture Show, and she doesn't even really dance, and it's just, it just seems really lazy, and I feel like they just typecast her because of her weight, and I don't think that was very fair. And, you know, we'll get onto like the whole typecasting thing later on, and it's just, it's kind of disappointing, you know. The next thing we see, like a transition, we see Jason Derulo, who plays Rum Tum Tugger. He comes into the house and it's like, you know, this is a little old-fashioned. Let's bring it up a notch. Jason Derulo, I have to give him some chops. Like, he is actually really good. Like, I thought his singing was really good. He embodied the role of the Rum Tum Tugger. He did give some respect to John Partridge, I would say. I think, though, he did hold back a little bit from, like, really amping it up. Like, he could amp up the sexiness factor. Like, he could do it. But then again, I realized that this film is rated PG. But then they have a weird euphemism for, like, an orgasm or something later on in the film, where they go to, like, this milk bar thing, and milk basically becomes essentially like alcohol in this world. Like, he releases like the barrels of milk, and like, all these cats are like lapping up this milk, and they look at each other kind of sexually, and I'm like, what? The song ends really well. Jason Derulo does this really great, you know, run of like notes, and it's weird. It's like after the song ends, Jenny Dodds, she kind of stalks off, whatever, and McCavity kind of like flirts with her, and then poof, she disappears. Like, bang! Like, I'm like, what? I'm like, so when does McCavity end up coming more after every single song? Like, it's kind of odd. I mean, I understand what they were trying to do for like some of these minor characters, you know, but it's like we didn't see him do that with from Tom Tugger. What's interesting though is like after McCavity comes up and after, you know, Jenny Annie Dots disappears, we see Grisabella kind of stalking. She's kind of like noticing everything, and like I love Jennifer Hudson. Like she's a fantastic actress and stuff. But Tom Hooper, I don't understand why he did this thing where he was directing her to just cry and sniffle so much. Like it's like a flood of boogers and tears, and I'm just like, I don't understand why she has to cry all that much, or right then and there. Like, I don't see the reason, like, until everyone starts getting at her. Like, that's when it really should flood in, but she's already coming into the scene already with tears, and, like, it just kind of takes away from it. Like, I can't take her seriously. But what's nice, though, is that they do explain a point where the cats tell Victoria that she has some history of McCavity, which I can understand then why she would, you know, be shunned by the tribe, because McCavity's supposed to scare everybody, and I could see why they act kind of weird to her. And the next song that comes into play is Bustopher Jones, and he's played by James Corden. What about the song is that the way it's styled, original show, you know, you see everyone else talking about Bustopher Jones, and he's supposed to come off as this character that's kind of like a role model for some of the cats. He's elevated. You know, he's very educated as well. But in this version, James Corden sings the majority of the song, and it just sounds like the cat's very arrogant, and he's a glutton. And again, with the typecasting, I felt like they only typecast James Corden because of his weight, and they made him wear this huge green suit. And James Corden's not a big actor or anything, but it just felt like they were just only going for that, and I'm like, you know, it's not funny. Like Bustopher Jones, yes, he knows that he's big.
He's a 25-pounder.
Or I am a pounder.
And stuff, but that doesn't change the fact that, you know, he's been to these things, he's, you know, experienced different things of life and stuff, and he's trying to, you know, come up, but he just comes off as this gluttonous pig. After he gorges himself, you know, after eating garbage, McCavity makes him disappear into this garbage can, and poof, he's gone again. And I'm like, okay, I think we're going to see like a constant pattern with this McCavity thing. Like, McCavity doesn't come off to me as a scary character. As everyone panics about McCavity, Victoria kind of like, you know, is trying to figure out what to do, and then Uncle Jerry and Rumpleteazer, which are some of my favorite characters, they kind of come up to her and be like, hey, come along with us, you know, what do you know about the streets and stuff like that, come along with us. And they convince her to go along to this house, and they rampage through it. And the way they did this song of Mungo Jerry and Rumpleteazer really pissed me off. There's nothing charming about this scene at all. The song was off base, you know, like the song was off beat. The lyrics were backwards, like literally backwards. Like how do you screw something up like that? Cinematography wise, I can understand why they could do it, but it doesn't work at all. It just, there's nothing fun about it. And like, I hate the fact that like the choreography just seems lazy. All they do is just really jumping around a bed, stealing things. I would have liked to have seen like, you know, the mischievousness more so. Like in the stage show, like they have this amazing, you know, cartwheel turn thing. I would have loved to have seen it, but then again, you know, it just seems like with modern day casting for movies, like, or musical movies, they don't, you know, spend the time finding the talent that can do all of this unless they're a big name person. It was one of the worst scenes in this film for me. To end the song, basically they hear a dog barking, they abandon her, and so she's kind of left to fend for herself until Victoria's basically left off to fend for herself until Mr. Mistopheles comes in and rescues her. Kind of cut to this like weird side scene where Jenny Annie Dots and Bustopher kind of wake up and figure out they're on a barge somewhere, and they're on Thames, and they're kind of like shocked, and McCavity kind of, you know, does the evil Doofenshmirtz plan, like, I'm gonna tell you what my evil plan is, and he's basically saying like, oh, if I get rid of all the competition, I'm gonna be the next Jellicle Cat, and that's not how that works. And we see this character though, his name is Growl Tiger. Growl Tiger was actually a character that was written out of the show since the 90s, and Growl Tiger was a character that another cat took on, and he was like supposed to be like this pirate sort of guy, and he's on a barge, and I kind of like that tie-in that they did to the original stage show. It just didn't really make sense to those who are just like, wait a minute, I don't understand the reference, like they don't get it. I would have preferred to have seen more development for the Growl Tiger character, I think that would have been more interesting and super fun. But they kind of missed out on an opportunity for that as well. I'm kind of getting back to the main point though. We finally get to the idea that old Deuteronomy, who's supposed to be the leader of the Jellicle Cats, is finally coming to start the Jellicle Ball. And we see Judi Dench kind of come in, kind of like Baby Yoda style. She's kind of like shuffling in. All the cats, I think she looks the most like a cat, except for the fact that she has human hands. And she's actually being shown wearing her real life wedding ring. I'm like, what? Like, they didn't even bother to animate that. They didn't even try. So she tells the cats, like, you know, I'm here, I must go slow, let's start the ball. She leads everybody into this like little club, and there's like a small stage and stuff like that. And she's like, well, let's have the Jellicle Ball begin. Victoria kind of joins in, and she's kind of new to it, you know, because she's a stranger, and, you know, she proves to be a good answer to everybody. There is this overwhelming feeling, though, like, she's getting pursued by every single, like, available male cat, and, like, it's just kind of creepy, but then again, it seems like she's very horny as well. This might be because she might be getting into heat into the first time. And so basically, at the climax of the dance, everyone kind of falls down in exhaustion, kind of like, you know, the Time Warp in Rocky Horror Picture Show. And Victoria kind of sneaks outside. She's kind of like overwhelmed. And then we see Grisabella again, who's kind of leaning against a light post. She's all down. She looks like a hobo. She sings out the first version of Memory. And I noticed in this scene, this is the first time I noticed that she's the only one to actually have kitten feet. The only one. She still has human hands, but she has actual kitten feet. Which I was like, wow, movie, if you had spent more time animating, you know, like doing proper edits and everything, this movie wouldn't have been as bad as it is. Victoria begins singing the song Beautiful Ghosts, which is written by no other than, you know, cat fanatic Taylor Swift. And she sings this song, and it's beautiful. You know, it's beautifully written. Like, she and Angela Weber wrote it together. And it was actually a really great song. What's weird, though, it takes away from Memory, in a sense. Like, Memory's supposed to be this huge ballad, you know, and it's supposed to be, like, a big number, and kind of show that, you know, she has feelings, she might be a potential candidate. But now it's like I'm relating to Victoria more than Grisabella, which is weird, because we're all supposed to vouch for Grisabella in the end. And I'm not. It's really weird. Some of the lyrics make sense, some of it doesn't. Like, Grisabella kind of, you know, stalks off, and Victoria's kind of like feeling defeated. She comes back in. And she doesn't realize the whole time old Deuteronomy was looking from afar, and, you know, she reflects on the moments of happiness, basically. And she sees Grisabella as a candidate. And me personally, I didn't think, like, you know, Grisabella really showed that she could be a really great candidate. I think Victoria showed, like, you know, she has a lot of character and she could be a potential candidate as well. Basically, Deuteronomy invites her to come back in to join the rest of the ball, and we finally start to see real more solo performances. Basically, we finally get a character named Gus the Theater Cat, who's played by Ian McKellen. And Ian, out of all the cats I've noticed, because everyone, they mentioned that they all went to cat school and stuff, it seemed to me that Ian McKellen took this role the most, like, out of everybody else. He took it very seriously. And, like, in the background, you could see him mewing, you could see him scratching himself, you could see him hiss at people if he's mad. And, it's interesting. And you see him drinking milk out of the back. He seems kind of drunk, almost, but not. But his character's supposed to have, like, cerebral palsy and stuff like that. And being kind of, like, older. And you see him come out on stage, he's kind of nervous, and he performs the song of Gus the Theater Cat. And out of the performances so far, this one had been actually one of my favorites. Ian McKellen, I like what he did with Gus. Like, I really enjoyed it. Like, it brought some life to it. And basically, after he's done with his number and everyone, you know, is clapping for him, like, Judi Dench's character, she basically raises her leg straight up and starts shaking it, kind of like Thumper. And, it's weird because she's supposed to be an older cat, but I think old Deuteronomy's got a thing for Gus. After Gus leaves the stage, McCavity poses as a super fan of his and asks for an autograph, kidnaps him, of course, too. The next to performs is Skimbleshanks the Railroad Cat, and he's portrayed by this very attractive ballet dancer named Stephen McRae. And I thought he was a wonderful dancer. His voice was wonderful. I thought that he really embodied the character. And what's interesting though is this, like this became a tap number instead, and it kind of works because it's a railroad, you think of trains, and his tap dancing and becoming the embodiment to a transition to, like, you see him tap like on these wooden pieces, and then it becomes the railroad, and you see them going to the train station. And I thought, this is a very nice tie-in, and overall I thought that scene was really well done. I really liked it. The only complaint I had about it though was like the sizes of the cats. Like the cats in the club, they seem like regular human-sized cats, and then when they go to the railroad, they're extremely tiny, and it's like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, what's up with that? These continuity errors are just increasingly getting bigger. And another thought I had too was like, why are the cats wearing tap shoes though? Like, they don't make tap shoes that small, I don't think. At the end of the scene, Skimbleshanks does this like tap twirl thing, but then like he's twirling, like consistently twirling up into the sky, and poof, vanishes, and it's McCavity kidnapping him, and everyone's in a panic, and all of a sudden we see this very Moulin Rouge entrance of Ballerina, who is played by no other than Taylor Swift. She comes down in this DreamWorks looking moon thing, and she sings the song McCavity. And it turns out she is a bad guy, and I was not expecting that. Like, Ballerina, I always got the vibe that she was maybe like a jilted lover of McCavity, in the stage shows, and she's just trying to warn everybody to kind of like stay clear from him. He's like an abuser or whatever. I always got those vibes. But in this movie, she's working with him, which is a very different like take on the role, and I was like, okay, interesting. And she sprinkles catnip over everybody, and so she basically puts them under their spell, and they basically become backup dancers. And I'm like thinking to myself, hey T Swift, you got your roadies for the next tour, there you go. Jokes aside though, I gotta give her credit, because like, she does well for what she's doing, but they didn't like, she had big boobs, and I'm thinking, why does she have big boobs? And she's wearing heels, and I'm like, this doesn't make sense at all. And McCavity comes out of nowhere, and they finish the song together, and McCavity is like, well, since all the contestants are basically drunk and they're intoxicated, they can't do anything, I'm the only one that can compete to be the Jellicle. Judi Dench, of course, is like, no, that's not how this works. He gets mad, kidnaps her too, takes her off to the barge, and we see them get onto the barge where the others are tied up. Bustopher Jones is there, Gus is there, you see Jenny Annie Dots, they're all there, and he threatens for her to walk the plank, and she's like, no. And then we cut back, and everyone's upset that Deuteronomy has been kidnapped, and they're like, well, what can we do? We have no magic. And Victoria's like, yeah, we do, we got Mistopheles. Mistopheles is like, like, no, I'm not that great. Basically, they make him try multiple times to work his magic, and they sing the song, and after like multiple tries, Mistopheles, feels like he's failed, and then somehow Deuteronomy comes back. But then one thought I had to myself was like, if Deuteronomy is back, what happened to the others? So after the song ends, and after the flying cards stop flying, and the ghost instruments stop playing, yeah, there's that, we cut back to the barge, and they're all chained up to the things, and we see Jenny Anydots literally unzip her fur again, and she's able to get out of the shackles of the chains, and I'm thinking, this doesn't make any sense, like, at all. And, she releases the others, the Growl Tiger is about to, basically, like, throw him off the boat, until Gus basically scares him so badly, he falls off the barge himself, and I was like, yes! Yes, Ian McKellen, you're the hero, yes! Like, this part, yes. What's really sad, though, is, like, this is the last time that, according to my memory, this is the last time we see Gus, Jenny Annie Dots, and Bustopher again in the show. Like, the movie just basically said, screw you, this is your end of your runtime, we don't want to spend any more money, filming you guys. And we're almost getting to the end. Victoria leads Grisabella into the Jellicle Ball. Judi Dench is kind of like, sing. And, of course, we hear her saying Memory, but what's weird about this rendition of Memory is, like, she sounds very throaty and, like, full in the head, like, when she's singing Memory, and it didn't impact me the way Elaine Paige sang, because Elaine Paige, you can really hear the pain in her voice. And Jennifer Hudson's doing what she can, but again, it's just like, she's not working on the dynamics of her singing, more so she's doing method singing, which I respect, you know, what Tom Hooper was trying to do, but I would prefer to hear her actually, like, try, you know, and instead of just doing complete method, you know, actually, like, blow us away, because I know she can do it. I know she can. And we hear a reprise of Beautiful Ghost right afterwards, and it kind of takes away from the power of memory again. And Judi Dench even joins in this reprise. And then we finally get to the part where, you know, she's basically like, you're the chosen cat. You're going to die, basically. And so everyone leads her up, and there's like the base of this chandelier, which is kind of like a nice tie into Phantom of the Opera from 2004. You know, she climbs in, and they pull this rope or whatever, or the rope lifts itself up. And it turns out the chandelier is the base to a hot air balloon. And she like floats out of the building, and everyone's like, up, 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 past the Russell Hotel. And, you know, we think everything's going to go well. Well, it turns out McCavity climbs up onto the rope, and he's trying to hold on for dear life. He slips and lands on top of a statue. I prefer to have seen him have maybe like a Gaston sort of death thingy, but he doesn't. And, you know, we see her sail off to the Heaviside Layer, which she basically just floats into a cloud. Then, just as we think the movie is about to be done, the worst ending of a film I had ever seen begins. It's basically Judi Dench. She addresses the cats, but then she looks right to the camera, kind of like how I'm looking at you right now, like this, and she basically is like, you don't need an interpreter for this. You know, you guys have watched all of this go down. You don't need to understand any of this. And the cats are like off singing parts of Addressing the Cats and towards the finale, and then it would scream back to Judi Dench. And I just felt like 4 minutes of her just staring at me. It was creepy. Like, come on, like, are you joking me? And then it just fades out, and that's it. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell did I just watch? Overall, I think if that they didn't do these weird rewrites, if they would have just re-released the old film, or better yet, they tried to actually film it on a stage plot thing, and actually try to act it out as if it was supposed to be, like what it was basically intended to be, I think it would have done a lot better in the box offices. If they would have never done the horrible CGI stuff, I think they would have had a huge turnout. They could have recouped all their losses. It's disappointing because you see a lot of people put their heart and soul into this film. If anyone that wants to go see this. If you're going to go out drinking with some friends, if you want to get a good laugh, this is basically going to turn into like a cult film, kind of like Rocky Horror Picture Show, where you know it's bad, but you're still going to watch it because it's hilarious. And, you know, like, it's just going to have this cult following. And I just want to say, guys, thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate, you know, you guys being so supportive. Hope you all have a wonderful day, night, whenever you're watching. Take care and God bless. Bye, guys.